And President Biden has issued an emergency declaration for California as the state gets battered with these storms.
That's right. The move allows DHS and FEMA to coordinate all disaster relief efforts in over a dozen California counties. Let's get the read on what this means for those relief efforts. Joining us now is the former Deputy Assistant Administrator of FEMA and current General Manager of Medical and Security Assistance at International SOS, Josh Dozor. Josh, we want to thank you for joining us here on Fox Weather. From what we understand, you have a lot of experience in emergency management as a former FEMA official. What is your assessment on the current state of California based on what you've been seeing?
Thank you for having me. This is a severe incident for certain. There are three major risks of concern with this incident. First, the massive riverine flooding could cause havoc to homes, roads, bridges, and present a great risk of landslide across a large area. Second, the public safety community is going to have difficulty accessing the area and accessing folks who call 911. And third, such a large incident over such a great geographic area will be taxing to California's mutual aid system, which is very sophisticated.
Let's touch on some of those three issues that you just mentioned. The second one, people may have trouble getting help if, road crews, emergency workers are cut off. So what do you expect them to do, or what are some tips for them to do if they find themselves in one of those situations?
So first, people need to maintain close contact with their support systems. That could be family, it could be friends, it could be their neighbors. If they're traveling far from home, they need to make sure they keep accountability with their family at home and their employers. Make sure they opt in. Their cell phones are opt in to receive alerts and notifications from the local authorities. And they maintain those communications at all times so their loved ones know where they are.
And let's look ahead beyond the storm here. What sort of federal assistance do you anticipate FEMA will be offering to impacted residents, and how soon do you think that will come?
So knowing the great folks of FEMA, they've already been extremely engaged with the state and local organizations well before the declaration of this emergency. FEMA has already started to and will continue to deploy incident management teams, medical teams, and emergency communications teams, as well as workers from across all federal departments and agencies to support the state and local governments. Second, they're going to be working with organizations like the Red Cross to prepare to receive evacuees and support their shelters. And lastly, they're going to be mobilizing a great deal of personnel to energize the recovery effort across all infrastructure sectors.
Yeah, recovery comes next after more rain is in the forecast. In terms of people, maybe they're lucky enough that they haven't seen damage to their homes, or they just really haven't seen the surplus of rain quite yet, but it's in the forecast. How do you recommend people prepare their homes for this threat?
The first thing I tell folks is to avoid harm. Sometimes we don't want folks to introduce toxic fumes into their home by using gas appliances that heat their home and not placing generators inside their home. So avoid those harms as much as possible. Second, they have to prepare for a long-term power outage, which may or may not occur. Preserve their batteries, store 3 gallons of water per person per day for a long duration. Don't store your food outside. Preserve the cold food in the refrigerator and try to minimize the loss of heat in their homes.
And beyond the preparation, we have to stay as prepared as possible. But let's say flooding is imminent. If you could share with some of the residents there what they should do in the event that their home does actually flood.
You don't want to drive into flooded areas. You want to avoid the fast-moving rush of water. It will move you. It will move your car. You need to evacuate when you get that alert notification. Heed the advice of the local authorities and seek higher ground. Prepare, talk to your employer, talk to your family, have a plan to meet at a hotel or other safe location where you could have access to food, water, electricity, and heat over a long duration.
All good advice. Josh Dozor, former Deputy Assistant Administrator of FEMA and current General Manager of Medical and Security Assistance at International SOS. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good luck.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.